Obsession isn't romance. It's a psychological glitch that makes someone replay you in their mind like a scene they can't skip. Imagine becoming the one man she can't quite read, can't fully predict, and definitely can't forget. Why do some men get ignored while others trigger this irrational pull in a woman's mind? Stay until the end, because you're about to see the subtle shifts that turn ordinary interactions into something dangerously unforgettable. 1. The vacuum of validation. The biggest mistake men make within the first 5 minutes of meeting a woman they find attractive, they shower her with compliments. They laugh at jokes that aren't funny. They agree with everything she says, nodding like some eager puppy hoping for a treat. And they wonder why she loses interest so quickly. Here's what most don't understand. Attraction needs space to breathe. It needs oxygen. When you fill every silence with reassurance, when you rush to validate her every word, you're actually suffocating the very thing you're trying to create. You leave zero room for her to wonder about you, zero room for that little spark of uncertainty. And without that uncertainty, there is no obsession. Think about it this way. She tells a joke. It falls flat. The average guy laughs anyway because he's desperate for her approval. But you look at her. Maybe a slight smirk crosses your face, but you don't laugh. You let that silence hang for 3 seconds, just 3 seconds. In that tiny window, her brain starts racing. Why didn't he laugh? Does he think I'm boring? Does he not like me? Boom, you've entered her mind. Or picture this. She posts a photo online, gets hundreds of likes, dozens of comments calling her a goddess. She expects you to be fan number 301. You view it, you don't like it, you don't comment. You give her nothing. This is the vacuum, and nature absolutely hates a vacuum. It fights to fill it. When you create that emotional void by withholding the validation she's used to getting handed to her for free, something shifts. She feels this pull to earn your approval. She starts trying harder, asking more questions, dressing better when she knows you'll see you, touching you more often. She's desperately trying to fill the empty space you've created. Most men are terrified of silence because they think it means rejection, but silence is actually a blank canvas. If you're brave enough to leave it empty, she will paint her obsession all over it. Stop handing out compliments like they're free samples at a grocery store. Your attention, your approval, your validation, these are currencies, and when you give them away too easily, they become worthless. Make her wonder, make her work. That's where attraction truly begins. The moment you put her on a throne, you become invisible. You blend into the crowd of admirers, the endless parade of men who stutter when she walks in, who trip over their words trying to impress her. And here's what nobody tells you. She doesn't want another worshiper. She's drowning in them. 2. Fracture the pedestal. There's a psychological principle called the halo effect. When we see someone beautiful, our brains automatically assume they're also intelligent, kind, fascinating. Men fall into this trap constantly. They see a pretty face, and suddenly she's a goddess who can do no wrong. But think about how celebrities treat their fans, with polite indifference at best. When you worship someone, you become forgettable. You become background noise. So here's the shift. Stop looking at her beauty and start looking through it. When every other man is complimenting her eyes, her smile, her figure, you hold back. Not because you're playing games, but because those compliments are cheap. She's heard them 1,000 times. They mean nothing anymore. Instead, you do something far more powerful. You challenge the mask she wears. Every person projects an image to the world. The tough girl who acts like nothing bothers her. The social butterfly who entertains the room. These are performances, and deep down, she knows it. When you look past the performance and speak to what's underneath, something shifts. If she plays the untouchable ice queen, you might say something like, "You've got that armor on pretty tight, but I can tell there's something softer underneath you don't let people see." If she's always performing, always entertaining, you observe, that must get exhausting feeling like you have to be on all the time just to feel valued. This isn't about insulting her. Negging is amateur hour. It reeks of insecurity. This is about seeing her, actually seeing her, not the curated version she presents, but the human being hiding behind it. Nobody wants to be loved for a mask. Deep down, people crave being understood for who they really are, shadows and all. When you acknowledge what others ignore, when you speak to the parts of her she keeps hidden, you create a level of intimacy that 100 compliments never could. The fan worships the image. The man sees past it. And she will remember the man who made her feel truly seen long after she's forgotten every man who just told her she was pretty.
3. The dopamine roller coaster. The most dangerous weapon in attraction isn't charm or looks, it's unpredictability. Picture a slot machine. Sometimes it pays out big, sometimes nothing, sometimes just enough to keep you pulling that lever. People lose fortunes chasing that next win, not because they're stupid, but because their brains are wired to crave uncertainty. Now, apply that same mechanism to how you show up in her life. Most men are painfully consistent. They text back within 2 minutes like clockwork. They say goodnight every single night without fail. They become so predictable that she could set her watch by their behavior. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Predictability murders passion. When she knows exactly what you'll do next, there's no mystery left. Her brain has nothing to solve, nothing to anticipate, nothing to crave. You need to become the slot machine she can't walk away from. One day you're completely present. You're texting back instantly, making her laugh, planning something exciting together. She feels that rush, the dopamine flooding her system, telling her, this is it, he's interested. Then the next day you pull back. You take hours to respond, your messages get shorter, no emojis, no enthusiasm. You're focused on your own life, your own mission. Her brain immediately goes into withdrawal. What happened? Did she say something wrong? Is there someone else? She checks her phone obsessively. Nothing. The anxiety builds. The cortisol spikes. Her mind races through every possible explanation. Then, just when she's about to spiral completely, you send something simple, thinking about you. That hit of relief and dopamine is now 10 times more powerful because of the anxiety that came before it. You've just wired her brain to associate you with that chemical high. This is intermittent reinforcement in action, the same psychological pattern that keeps people trapped in cycles they know aren't good for them. She becomes addicted not to you specifically, but to the emotional roller coaster you provide. The cycle of anxiety followed by relief creates a bond stronger than any amount of consistent kindness ever could. Women claim they want nice guys who show up reliably, but watch who they actually obsess over. It's never the man who's completely figured out, it's the puzzle. The man whose attention feels like a prize worth winning, not a participation trophy handed out to everyone. Be that puzzle. 4. The power of no. Every time you agree when you want to refuse, you hand over a piece of yourself you'll never get back. Most men walk through life terrified of the word no. They believe that refusing a woman's request will push her away, that disagreement equals rejection. So they become human doormats, saying yes to restaurants they hate, movies that bore them, requests that drain them. And in return, she loses respect inch by inch, though she might not even know why. Here's what nobody tells you. A woman cannot feel safe with a man she can control. Think about it. If her emotions can bend you, if her disappointment can break your stance, what happens when the real storms of life arrive? She needs to know that when the world pushes, you don't move. You are the wall she can lean against, not the sand that shifts beneath her feet. Picture a child testing boundaries, pushing against the walls of a house to see if they hold. If those walls give way, the child doesn't feel powerful. The child feels terrified. But when the structure stays firm, there's safety in that strength. You must become that structure, not rigid out of anger, not defensive out of insecurity, but calm, grounded, unshakable. When you tell her no, something fascinating happens. At first, she might push back. She might test you harder, show annoyance, try different angles. But beneath the surface, her respect climbs. She realizes you have standards that don't bend for beauty. You have a life, a purpose, a direction that doesn't orbit around her approval. Suddenly, you're not just another man competing for her attention. You're a force with your own gravity, and she starts orbiting you. The delivery matters everything. You don't bark refusals like a wounded animal protecting itself. You don't sulk or explain yourself into exhaustion. You simply state your position with calm authority. No, I'm not available then. No, that doesn't work for me. No, I see it differently. That's it. No justification marathon, no apology tour. Most men drown women in endless yeses, desperate to avoid a moment of tension. But tension is where attraction breathes. The word no, spoken with calm certainty, becomes strangely magnetic to someone accustomed to watching men crumble. You stop being a convenience and start being a choice. One she has to earn, one she has to keep.
5. Future nostalgia. Most men talk about what's happening right now. How was your day? What are you doing tonight? Boring, forgettable. You become background noise in her life, easily replaced by the next distraction. But what if you could plant yourself so deeply in her mind that she thinks of you even when you're nowhere near her? That's the real game. Here's how it works. Instead of living in the present tense like every other man, you start projecting a shared future, one that feels inevitable, exciting, almost destined. You casually mention a restaurant you two have to try sometime, but add a playful challenge. I don't know if you can handle that level of spice, though. You reference a movie trailer you saw and connect it to something personal she told you weeks ago. That reminded me of your story. We're watching it together next month. Notice what's happening here. You're not asking permission. You're not scheduling a date. You're simply assuming a future exists between you two, and her subconscious mind accepts it as reality. Now comes the twist that makes this powerful. You plant the seed, and then you walk away. You don't follow up immediately. You don't push for confirmation. You let that idea sit in her mind and grow roots on its own. Suddenly, when she passes a certain type of restaurant, you flash into her thoughts uninvited. When she scrolls past a movie poster, there you are again. You've created invisible triggers scattered throughout her daily environment, each one pulling her attention back to you without any effort on your part. This is what separates men who are easily forgotten from men who linger in a woman's mind for weeks. She begins missing experiences that haven't even happened yet. She's longing for memories you two haven't created. Her brain has already simulated what it would feel like to be with you in those moments, and now reality feels incomplete without it. The psychological weight of this cannot be overstated. When someone's mind repeatedly returns to the same person across different contexts and environments, it creates a sense of fate, like the two of you were always meant to intersect. You're not just another option anymore. You've become woven into her mental landscape, haunting her reality in the most irresistible way possible. She doesn't just want to see you, she feels like she has to, because her brain already decided the future includes you. 6. The triangle of desire. Here's an empty restaurant on a Friday night. You walk past it, and without even tasting the food, you've already decided it's terrible. Now picture a line wrapped around the corner, people waiting an hour in the rain just to get a table. Suddenly, you're convinced that place must be incredible. You haven't tried a single dish, but you want in. This is human nature stripped bare. We want what others want. Women operate on this exact instinct, and it runs deeper than most men realize. Social proof isn't just a marketing term, it's wired into how attraction actually works. When she senses that other women find you desirable, something shifts in her brain. Your value skyrockets overnight, not because you changed anything about yourself, but because she now sees you through the lens of competition. She stops evaluating whether she likes you and starts worrying about whether she can keep you. Now here's where most men completely destroy themselves. They think the way to demonstrate this is through bragging. They drop hints about ex-girlfriends who won't leave them alone. They mention how the bartender was flirting with them earlier. Stop. This reeks of insecurity. It screams desperation disguised as confidence, and women detect it instantly. True pre-selection is never announced. It's felt. It's an energy that surrounds you. It's having female friends who genuinely respect and enjoy your company. It's receiving a message, glancing at your phone with a slight smile, and putting it away without explanation.
It's the complete absence of jealousy when she mentions other men, because deep down, both of you know your options extend far beyond this moment. When you're out together, be warm to the people around you. Make the waitress laugh, not through flirtation, but through genuine charm. Let the elderly woman at the coffee shop feel comfortable striking up conversation with you. Show her that women of all ages feel safe and happy in your presence. This isn't performance, it's proof. The moment she watches other women respond positively to your energy, her competitive instincts ignite. She realizes something crucial. She doesn't own your attention, she's renting it, and that lease comes up for renewal every single day. This subtle anxiety, this quiet fear that someone else might claim what she thought was hers, becomes the oxygen that feeds obsession. Nobody fixates on something they possess completely. They fixate on what feels like it might slip away to a competitor.
7. The Zeigarnik effect. Ever notice how a TV show ending on a cliffhanger haunts you for days? You check forums, talk to friends, lose sleep, all because your brain refuses to let go of something unfinished. That same mechanism is the most powerful tool you'll ever use to occupy her thoughts when you're nowhere near her. Your mind treats incomplete experiences like open wounds. It keeps circling back, trying to close them, to find resolution. Most men hand women a finished story on the first meeting. They reveal everything, their past, their dreams, their insecurities, thinking transparency builds connection. What it actually builds is boredom. She reads the entire book in one sitting, closes it, and moves on to the next one. You need to become the chapter that cuts off mid-sentence. Here's how this works in practice. You're telling her a story, something interesting, and just as it reaches the peak, stop. Glance at your watch. Say you'll finish it another time because you have somewhere to be. She'll protest, maybe even beg you to continue. Smile and walk away. Now what happens when she goes home? Is she thinking about her emails? Her coworkers? No. Her brain is stuck on that unfinished story, itching for closure that only you can provide. Or try this. Send her a message saying you just saw something that reminded her of you, something wild. Then disappear for a few hours. Don't explain, let her imagination run circles trying to figure out what it was, whether it was good or bad, what you're thinking. You've just planted yourself in her mental real estate without paying rent. The key is ending things at their highest point. Conversations, dates, moments of connection. Most men let interactions fade into awkward silence or drag on until the energy dies naturally. Kill it while it's alive. Leave when she's laughing hardest, when the tension is thickest, when she wants more. This isn't playing games, it's understanding that humans crave what remains unresolved. Think of yourself as a series she can't binge watch. Each episode ends with a question mark, never a period. She'll keep coming back not because you demanded her attention, but because her own mind won't let her stop until she understands the full picture, a picture you deliberately keep just out of reach. Everything you've just learned comes down to one uncomfortable truth. You cannot manufacture this energy if you're terrified of losing her. These aren't tricks you perform while secretly checking your phone every 2 minutes hoping she texts back. She'll sense that desperation through the screen, through your voice, through the way you hold yourself. The real transformation happens when you genuinely become the man whose life, whose purpose, whose mission is more compelling than any single person could ever be. When walking away stops being a bluff and becomes a real option you're comfortable exercising, that's when everything shifts. Stop being the open field that everyone tramples through. Become the fortress, gates closed, mystery intact, letting her knock and wonder what's inside. That wondering, that uncertainty, that endless question mark you represent, that's what keeps the fire burning long after other men have been forgotten.